Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Why is the left so psychotic? These awfuls and rawfuls, these sentimental barbarians. We're going to hopefully get some insight into that question from Jonathan Alpert, psychotherapist, who joined us shortly. I mean, it's not funny if you're the Tesla owner, but meet Karen Lewis Cook of Collettsville, North Carolina. Still vandalizing Teslas? That is still de rigueur on the left? She's a little late to the dance. She's also late to the recognition that Teslas have cameras on them, so you get caught when you vandalize a Tesla, as she did, taking a board with nails on it and scraping it against this guy's car. He was surprised, too.
I just couldn't believe it was actually happening. You know, we had all the craziness with Teslas when Elon was part of Doge and all that stuff, but I thought we had kind of gotten past that, and I'd kind of made it through unscathed. So it was kind of just shocking.
That still qualifies as a political statement from the left, particularly the awfuls. And what's with nurses? Yet another nurse. Remember the nurse from a few weeks ago who wished horrific things on Caroline Leavitt after it was announced that she was pregnant? Horrific things. Here's a nurse out of Philadelphia who's rooting for the Iranians to assassinate Trump.
So I heard the new leader of Iran wants to take out you-know-who. And leader of Iran, if you're seeing this for any reason, I just want you to know that most of us are rooting for you, actually, but I think most of us would like it to be kind of slow and painful, if you wouldn't mind. Okay? Go get 'em, bud.
A Guthrie, New York clinic worker, another medical professional.
Now, Iran, you do know that your target is not New York City, right? I just want you to understand the assignment, okay? And because we don't agree with this, but your target is Washington, D.C. and Mar-a-Lago, okay? Not New York City, not anywhere else. Those two places. Okay? We here? Don't miss like the last person. Okay? All right. And when I say Washington, D.C., I just want to be clear, okay? It used to be a really nice White House. It's the trap house now, but it's still called the White House. That's the target in Washington, okay? Just want to make sure I'm clear on the instructions. Just to make sure you understand this. I'm sure you guys are already on top of it, because I'm sure there's some other little hiding places and sewer holes and whatnot where these people will be at. But focus on the target. Okay? Focus on the target. Okay? I'm over here rooting for you. Make sure your aim is good. Don't miss. All right.
Right, nothing like rooting for the Ayatollahs, or of course Joy Reid, one of the intellectual leaders of this cadre of females you've just heard about and heard from, comparing Iran to America favorably.
Our regime has secret police. They have secret police. Our regime is oppressing women, taking away abortion rights, taking away women's rights in like 26 states, some states where they're trying to have the death penalty for having an abortion. They also oppress women. They have the highest rate of women who are in STEM careers. We're kicking women out of the military, out of university. We're saying that DEI means women can't be hired for high positions in the sciences. So we're marginally better. And we're doing it for Christianity. They're doing it for Islam, right? Yeah. So it's like we don't get told those things because it would take away the kind of American exceptionalism narrative.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought that was a nice concession on her part, despite detailing the oppressive society that is America, particularly if you have a high intersectional score like Joy Reid, a Harvard graduate, how oppressive this country is for people like her. That at the end of the day, we're marginally less totalitarian than the world's leading sponsor of terrorism. Wonderful concession. Sure, let's find middle ground with Joy Reid and that Philly nurse and that crazy old lady in North Carolina vandalizing a Tesla. Yeah, let's understand them. Jonathan Alpert is a psychotherapist practicing in New York and Washington, author of Therapy Nation, which is coming out this spring, May 19th. Pre-order it now. Jonathan Alpert, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks so much for having me. And interestingly, Joy Reid is also someone who had a guest on her show when she had a show, a psychiatrist who said, if you don't like your Trump-loving relatives, just cut them out. You don't need to talk to them. You don't need to face them. So, Joy Reid has really bad advice for people, or at least endorses people who give bad advice. I'm not so sure we should listen to Joy and her views on world events and how bad people have it.
Cut them out and vandalize their Teslas while you're at it, too, just for good measure. Yeah,
it's amazing. It blows my mind that people are still vandalizing Teslas. And yesterday in Manhattan, where I live, I saw on a street post a big sign for a gathering, a No Kings protest happening towards the end of the month. And it blows my mind that people still think that our country is led by a king. And I have to wonder, are these the same people who are in love with Luigi Mangione and elevating him to a folk hero status? I believe they are.
No kings here, but we love the mullahs in Tehran that just murdered between 30 and 50,000 of their own citizens, 2 months ago. Right. Makes perfect sense. So this gets to my point about this piece that you wrote. There's a reason the left seems more psychologically distressed than the right. So psychologically distressed is a very generous description. What is that reason?
Well, I think part of the reason is that they feel like they've been wrong. They feel like their safety is being threatened. And then in their mind, it validates their actions, whether it's vandalizing a Tesla or fantasizing about killing Donald Trump. It justifies their actions. They have catastrophic thinking. They think that Trump is going to rule the world or get rid of rights for people, certain groups of people. So they justify these actions, and they're certainly not looking at the facts. I mean, many a times I challenge my patients thinking, well, why do you think that Trump is going to round up a certain part of the population, whether it's gays or women, and send them off to a faraway island? And they don't have a valid answer. Another part of the problem is echo chambers. These people surround themselves in certain media, whether it's Joy Reid or others, and this is all they hear, and it just inflames their thinking and supports their case. So we have a real problem on hand, and we have nurses and school teachers who are fantasizing on social media about killing Trump or hoping he gets shot. And it just blows my mind that these people don't realize that the repercussions of their actions could actually be termination.
Is there some sort of psychotic break that happens? I can understand, vituperative opposition to a particular policy. I'm just reflexively anti-war, so I'm opposed to the strikes in Iran, or I'm for higher taxes, so I'm opposed to the big beautiful bill, or I support open borders, so I'm opposed to mass deportations. But to get into political violence is another step. To attack an ICE facility in Dallas, to there's so many examples of this. I just offered one, the Tesla, to run interference for a child rapist in Boston that ICE was attempting to apprehend, which occurred. It was just reported this week, and allow him, more time to potentially commit more crimes against children in Boston. I mean, that is, sort of beyond the reasonable terms, quote unquote, reasonable terms of policy disagreement. And so for the calls to, understand, and I know I read this piece you wrote in the Hill about this, the calls to understand your political opponents as opposed to, sort of reflexively diagnose them. I don't know. They fall flat to me when you're dealing with a cohort like that we see on the streets of America and, frankly, in some of our media institutions, like you just mentioned, the medical community, education, and so forth.
Yeah, and no longer can people just disagree and oppose a certain policy viewpoint that the other party may have. They see this disagreement as a threat. Ordinary stress might be seen as emotional damage. If someone feels uncomfortable, that's often reframed as emotional injury. So what's happening here is these people aren't looking at the facts, and they might be, their baseline may be that they're more vulnerable to emotional distress, but that's certainly no excuse to support a known sex offender, like you mentioned in Boston. It's almost like at all costs they support, just blanket support anyone that they see as a migrant. And I've had this conversations countless times with people. There's a big difference between a migrant and an illegal, and they don't seem to understand that these people are coming through the border or came through the border illegally. And then when I mention, have you heard about the case of this migrant who viciously attacked someone? Well, that's just an isolated case. So you have to wonder, well, is that okay in their mind? That someone got murdered or raped by an illegal? Just one case or just two cases? So
what's the larger dynamic, though? I mean, it just seems like I understand the symptoms, but can this be chalked up to sort of the infantilization of Americans that has been going on for the last 50 years, the inability to critically think because of the failure of our government educational systems over the last 50 years? I mean, what do you attribute it to as you've seen this develop over the course of the time you've been practicing?
Yeah, and I think part of what's going on, the left is unhappy and they need a villain. They need an object to displace their unhappiness onto. And we've seen this play out. Bernie Sanders is great at this. He hates the rich. His rallies have so much energy and enthusiasm, hating the wealthy. We've seen it play out with Luigi Mangione. He hates the healthcare system, so he thinks it's okay to murder the CEO of United Healthcare, or capitalism. So people will rally against major corporations such as Tesla. These people need to get their head checked for starters. I think that would be a good place to begin. And they've got internalized hate and anger, and it just comes out in such unhealthy ways.
All right. Our real-life Dr. Katz, he is open for business. Jonathan Alpert is a psychotherapist practicing in New York and Washington, author of Therapy Nation, which is forthcoming May 19th of this spring. Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dan. Take care.
Take care. And he joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Why would you take your precious metal collections to some fly-by-night roadshow that rolls into town once a year? The only thing you need to do is follow the road to Fox Valley Coins and show your gold or silver to the team. Gold is at an all-time historical high, so don't keep sitting on your coin hoards or old jewelry that you've been saving to sell when the time is right. The time is right now.